Conclusion inevitable.
It was a jump to conclusions, Matt.
My conclusion was that this idea was not a practical deterrent.
My only conclusion can be that it was a Sith Lord.
In conclusion.
Hello there, folks. Welcome back to In Conclusion, the only movie podcast about Paul Wolfowitz and the failures of the Iraq War. I'm sorry, I got my notes confused. I'm Dan O'Keefe, and joining me as always is Anna Otto. How are you, Anna?
Feeling a little sad that you didn't say the only podcast where it's one of our birthdays, but
I'm
that's
sorry.
fine.
It is happy birthday. It's your birthday,
Thank
Anna.
you. I'm a Leo. You need to address that.
I'm sorry. I forgot that you are a DiCaprio.
No.
It is your 16th birthday. You finally
Yep,
got your
again.
driver's license.
Again.
Congratulations to you.
Honestly, thank you. It took a long time to get here.
Good birthday? Anything fun? Do anything fun? Get anything fun?
In this moment, I just realized that my 16th birthday was 10 years ago, and that made me feel kind of old. Other than that, it's been pretty chill. I, went to work, went to dinner. It was a Wednesday night, but I also, my parents bought me, I've been begging my parents to buy me a massage, and they did it. And I'm so excited.
Now, I'm very happy that they bought you a massage, but if they really loved you, they would have just given you a massage.
No, I would have turned them away. Partially because this isn't as funny, but I got stung by a bee on the back this weekend.
Ow!
It flew into the car that I was in, and I was wearing like a low-cut back dress. And I leaned back on my chair, and suddenly I was in pain. Really not fun.
Oh, no.
But, yeah. So after that goes away, it's massage time.
Well, also joining us today for the first of 3 episodes, the world's seemingly biggest Steven Soderbergh fan.
Because I'm so tall.
That's it. That's the reason. Reilly Harrington. How are you, Reilly?
Hello, it's me. I'm very excited to talk about probably one of my favorite movie trilogies of all time. I've been in love with these movies for about 4 years now, and I'm doing the math on that, and it made me feel very... there's just, time. It keeps on slipping into the future,
I'm snapping.
Thank
You
you,
see me
Steve.
snapping?
Yes.
Ugh.
Steven Soderbergh, and we're back on topic.
Oh my god.
Yes, and...
So, if you couldn't tell from our discussion and from the fact that you clicked on this episode and know what this episode's about,
You
the
read the
movie that
title.
we're talking about today is Ocean's 11, The Good One. Released in 2001, directed by Steven Soderbergh, screenplay by Ted Griffin, story by George C. Johnson and Jack Golden Russell, which I think is a dog.
That sounds like a porn name, TBH.
Starring George Clooney, Matt Damon, Andy Garcia, Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts, and a whole bunch of other people, including the uncredited Don Cheadle.
Yeah, I'll
Wait.
never understand. We can get back to that.
Okay, I never noticed that. That is... Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, Don Cheadle's name does not appear in the credits, on the posters, anything. Completely uncredited. Not out of some cameo sense, but out of the sense that he, I guess, had it in like his contract or something that he had to appear on the posters and in like the top line above the title. And when that didn't happen, he was just like, take me off of everything.
Okay, interesting.
That is a diva attitude.
Right?
I like Don Cheadle, but
Love him.
when's his birthday? That's Leo energy, okay? Hang on.
I mean, like, at that point, obviously there's a lot of blind spots of stuff I haven't seen, but, like, he's got under his belt at that point Boogie Nights, Devil in a Blue Dress, And
one episode of The Fresh Prince.
He was on Fresh Prince. That's right. That's right. And I mean, like, I'm sure he was in other stuff. Was Hotel Rwanda before this?
He was definitely a name, but he wasn't as big of a name as George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts, and Matt Damon were at the time.
His performance in these movies is just terrific, because I had no idea he was going to be like doing a voice the whole time.
Yeah.
So in like his introduction, he's doing a very Dick Van Dyke Cockney accent, and it's just like, I thought, like, oh, okay, like he's like with this crew, maybe he's like doing a character because these guys are like clever con men, and then it just kept going, and then it got even funnier to me. And I was like, oh, like he's doing like a bad accent to like kind of like be a joke, like that's Soderbergh, and then it just kept going. I'm like, oh, this is just a choice. I love it. Yeah. Go for it.
Don Cheadle is a Sagittarius.
He's also an Avenger.
That's also true. And he plays that AI in the new Space Jam.
Oh, no.
Did you guys see that?
I did not.
I elected to watch the other Don Cheadle movie that came out that month, No Sudden Move, directed by Steven Soderbergh.
I watched No Sudden Move 2 days ago.
Oh,
5 stars. Perfect
love it.
movie.
So
no
tight.
notes.
So sick. I'm loving this retirement Soderbergh's got going on.
Right?
Just pumping out awesome movies every couple of years. He's like, I got bored.
That's a mood, honestly.
I did the Nick. I got bored.
I feel the need, like, Anna, I need to apologize to you for the next 3 weeks, because...
Why?
The next 3 episodes are just going to be Reilly and I gushing over a bald man who likes to make movies very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be gushing over the most... I'm going to say it right now. There's nothing for me in these films, friends. There's nothing.
Brad Pitt.
I mean, Matt Damon was looking kind of fine.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, what did I have? Nothing.
Bernie Mac.
Barely.
He's
Andy
a sex
Garcia's
symbol.
lazy eye.
Andy
Barely.
Garcia has a
I just
lazy eye.
spit into the mic. I popped the audio. I hope everyone hears the pain in my voice.
The pain.
I've seen this movie before, though, so I know a little bit about it. I had, like, weird flashbacks of the first time I saw the movie, because all I could see was Shane West sitting at a poker table, and I've always forgotten what movie that was from. And then when I saw Topher, I was like, I know exactly what's about to happen. Shane West at a poker table. So,
so released on December 7th, 2001, so this is canonically a Christmas movie, with a budget of $85 million. It made $450 million, 0.7 at the box office.
What's so
I don't
interesting,
think you're wrong.
What's so interesting to me is that this movie wasn't a box office bomb, despite coming out on the anniversary, of course, of Pearl Harbor. And I just think that's interesting.
It didn't come out like the year after Pearl Harbor. Is that a notoriously bad day for movies? Like,
56 years to the day after Pearl Harbor is the most important day of remembrance.
And if I want to get my math right, I think Pearl Harbor, the movie, I'm assuming that came out on Pearl Harbor, which is just tragic in its own right.
That Pearl Harbor, the movie, came out...
You're talking about the one
May
with Cuba Gooding
25th,
Jr.?
2001.
All right, kids, it's Memorial Day. Get in the car. We're not going to the beach.
Going to see Cuba Gooding Jr. in Pearl Harbor.
We're going to watch him get completely wasted, not used at all, and then a weird love triangle for some reason.
I think I watched part of that movie in a history class at some point.
It's like, what if From Here to Eternity sucked ass, but then got really awesome in the back half because Michael Bay was doing it? Unfortunately, he does everything up to it, but it kind of gets tight in the back end, which is unfortunate.
And that's what she said.
I was going to say, what else gets
you.
tight in the back end? Thank you, Dan.
I'm amazed I didn't walk into that one. That's, the student has become the master.
So on Rotten Tomatoes, Ocean's 11 has an 83% approval rating. Newsweek said that Ocean's 11 bounces along with finger-snapping high spirits. Wow, Don Cheadle's accent has been recognized as one of the worst accents in history on film.
That's right, baby. I love it.
It's not good. It's not a good time.
So funny.
And this is a spiritual remake adaptation, whatever, of the 1960 Ocean's 11 with the Rat Pack.
Mm-hmm.
But what's different about this and the 60s one is this is good, and the Rat Pack one is the most boring movie I've seen in my life.
I've never seen the original one, and I've kind of steered clear of it because most of the Rat Pack can kind of flop for me in movies. Mm-hmm. I kind of think Jerry Lewis is pretty funny, which is, not shocking anybody. But I don't know. I've always thought it's interesting that Ocean's 11 Soderbergh version is like super tight and lucid and very on it filmmaking, whereas the 60s one is the most just cocktail-addled, pilled out Vegas.
That sounds like my kind of time. I'm looking this up. I didn't know that the Rat Pack was in it. Now, hold on just 2 seconds here.
If you really wanted to know what it was like for the Rat Pack to have meandering, useless phone conversations with each other for 68 minutes of the movie, do I have a picture for you?
Oh, I should watch this. It's got my boys in. I mean, it's the Rat Pack. You know.
Let's run them down. Frank Sinatra, the boss.
I love Dean Martin. Come on.
No love for Joey Bishop, everyone's favorite member of the Rat Pack.
Goodbye.
I think my favorite's Jerry Lewis, just because of King of Comedy and that one bit in The Bellboy where he's putting out the chairs.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
So, Reilly, since you're the guest, when was the first time you saw Ocean's 11?
I saw Ocean's 11 for the first time my junior year of college a few years ago with some good friends of mine. It was pretty late in the evening, and we had decided we weren't going to leave our house. It happened semi-frequently. That happened where we're like, it's like 10:45, and I still don't have like a good shirt on. Fuck it. I'm not leaving. I'm on the couch now. This is where I live. And then we just threw it on because I was like, hey, I saw that a few years ago. It was really good. And then I'd never seen it. And I just loved, Brad Pitt. I just thought he was a really great actor at the time. I'd seen him in Inglourious Bastards. I wasn't huge on Clooney at the time. And I just didn't really know anything else about it. I knew it was like a cool heist movie. And this was right around when I was starting to become a movie guy and just like obsessively get into directors and into actors. And this movie was a really big inciting incident into me getting into like one of my favorite actors and favorite film movements of all time. But we'll get to that character a little bit later.
It's Casey Affleck, isn't it?
He is probably in the probably top 5 of the 11 in terms of the performances, but I can't separate him from Scott Conn. Those two are so perfect together in this.
That's true.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
I remember, so before we get into the rundown of the movie, earlier this year, right when HBO Max had launched, my friend Tom and I were going through and looking for a movie to watch, and we ended up watching Michael Clayton with George Clooney. Fantastic movie. If you really like baguettes, it's the movie for you.
Oh, God. Just wait a minute now. I love a good baguette.
Well, there's a scene of somebody holding a bushel of baguettes as they walk down a New York City alleyway.
Simply a comically large amount of baguettes.
Yeah. It was me
and
with
it's
my
not
grocery
like
store.
It's not like a bit in the movie where it's like, oh, look at all these funny baguettes. It's just like, that's, I guess, just like the set decorator was like, he's getting bread. How much baguettes do you normally get? And then, it was Jabba the Hutt. And he was like, I don't know, 15?
Well, maybe the guy was actually, he just walked onto set on his way home from, you know,
Tom Wilkinson.
whatever grocery store they have.
He just showed up to say, like, I was running groceries. I have nowhere to put these. We have to film right now.
Yup. He's like, oh crap.
Write it into the
my big
character.
heads.
They're having a sale.
It's day-old bread. They were each a quarter.
So we watched all of Michael Clayton. It was great. And then, because HBO Max is entirely in alphabetical order, right below it was Ocean's 11, which I had watched like the first 10 minutes of a day before or something, before I had to go. And then, so Tom and I just made eye contact, paused, didn't say anything to each other. I hit play and we watched the rest of Ocean's 11.
That's right.
A perfect night.
I'm going to say it one more time. I'm not trying to gender anything, okay? If you're a woman and you love Ocean's 11, that's great for you. This movie isn't for me. It's not made with a single woman in mind. I would never in my life be scrolling through HBO Max and see that and go, yeah, that's the kind of night I'm trying to have. But that's just me. I'm sorry, Reilly. I'm like roasting your fave movies, but it's fine, I guess.
I mean, not everything's for everyone.
Thank you. A kind heart over there.
But smooth camera motion and airtight screenplay writing, baby, that's for
me.
everybody.
Personally, I like things to be clunky and not airtight. I don't know what the opposite would be in a
J.J. Abrams, oh my god.
My best friend.
God.
So, Ocean's 11 starts off, and we see people's sexiest man alive of 2007 getting a parole hearing in jail. George Clooney. Why does he have a beard? Why is he still so hot?
Why was the beard doing something to me? I'm going to say it straight out. Also, in that moment, I was wishing I was watching Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh.
Straight up.
He looks so good in that opening scene. It is absurd. And I was kind of annoyed when he got like the haircut and cleaned the beard up in the rest of the movie. I was like, all right.
Gage was like, he looks terrible here. And then he lost the beard. He's like, there's George. And I was like, no, I don't think so, Tim.
There's two opening things, like in that opening scene when he's getting that parole hearing. One, he's locked up in New Jersey, greatest state in the world. Two, the whole he's in prison and trying to get out thing. Like when I first saw the movie, I had no idea Soderbergh had directed Out of Sight by it's an adaptation of the Elmore Leonard book. There's another book with that same character that Clooney plays in Out of Sight called Road Dogs. I've heard a lot of people, like I think Don Cheadle mentioned wanting to adapt it, but it sounded really, really cool. And it starts off with that character from Out of Sight in prison. And this was, I think, 3 years after they had made Out of Sight together, also with Julia Roberts. And I just thought it was like a nice little cosmic parallel there, almost in the stories. And I think it was almost like a subconscious thing, trying to grease the wheels of like, oh, maybe we'll do another one of these. And then they did 2 more Ocean's movies instead.
So Clooney, his parole hearing, he gives a parole performance that would never get anybody released from jail, but he's so suave that he gets out.
Listen, I would give George Clooney anything. Anything.
Give that man the world.
True.
The main reason he was caught this time, because he's a world-class thief, was because his ex-wife left him, or I guess his separated wife. They're not exes yet, but his wife left him, and he got caught this time. But they let him out. And he goes to the first place where any degenerate gambler would go to. Best city in the world, Atlantic City, New Jersey.
That's right.
So glamorous and yet still so dirty.
I've been to AC a handful of times, and let me tell you, that handful gets thoroughly washed as soon as you leave the city limits. I like it. It's so fun,
pretty,
but
it's so
gaudy.
So dirty.
It's a gaudy, dirty city on the beach. And then in that city, Dan, who does he meet?
Mr. Bernie Mac, Bernie Mac playing Frank Cotton, who's a blackjack dealer. They have coded phrases to talk to each other away from casino security. Danny is looking for someone, and he goes off to find him. He also has a phone call with his parole officer right while being framed in the shot by a big sign for the former casino, the former Trump Atlantic City Casino, which has failed.
Oh my god, I screamed. Like a horror movie, I screamed.
And then it's off to our next location, my new home, Los Angeles, California, to a building that I researched it, and it has been knocked down because there is no history in Los Angeles, only progress.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yup.
The city is flat, and the air is gray, but God, the vibrations are amazing.
That's the earthquake, Reilly.
I saw something today, Dan, that made me think of you. It said the only people who actually like Los Angeles live in Los Angeles.
Fair, that's true. People have been asking me, like, how is it so far? And when I say just delightful, I get a weird look.
Yeah, that sounds fake, but I'm glad you're having a great time. It is for you.
It's sunny and 75. There. It feels so good to be alive.
Personally, I'm just glad Poppy's turning out to be quite the California girl.
Yes, she's shockingly enjoying it, mostly because she keeps trying to run out the patio.
Oh my god.
In Los Angeles, they are on Hollywood Boulevard at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, and it is a celebrity poker game featuring the biggest celebrities of today.
Run them down.
Yep. I'm sorry, but the group that Brad Pitt, Rusty, is teaching to play poker are the biggest stars of 2001.
Amen.
Holly Marie Combs, star of Charmed. Joshua Jackson from Dawson's Creek. Barry Watson from Seventh Heaven.
Seventh Heaven. Ooh, I literally forgot he was in this scene, and when he came on screen, I went, Matt Camden! And I love Seventh Heaven. Like, I don't know how to express to you how much I love Seventh Heaven. I don't know if you knew that about me.
I did not. That is a fun fact.
Yeah, you know, my mom and I used to watch it together a lot. It slaps. It's not important, but anyway, that actor is way too hot to be on Seventh Heaven.
I had no idea that any of the other people at the table were like actual like teeny bopper actors.
Oh yeah.
I only recognized one name.
Yeah. Before we get to that, there's also Shane West, star of A Walk to Remember.
Screams.
Oh, what else is he in? I know that name.
He's in Gotham now, or he was in Gotham.
I'm Googling this right now.
Yeah, he was Bane in Gotham.
Shut the fun. Really?
Did they do like another like, oh, he's not going to be like giant, he's going to be more realistic, which is a stupid approach to that character. The whole point of him is you juice him up and he gets huge. Don't they know that size is everything?
I can't right now.
Shane West.
Shane West as Bane.
Dan, this episode is canceled. I've taken to the bed. I am ill.
Get the fainting couch quick.
Literally, stat. Why am I still attracted to him? He looks awful.
See,
as Bane, not in real life. I'm sure he looks very nice.
It's the toxic effects of the venom drug.
Something has changed within me. Okay, let's continue.
Oh dear.
That was a wicked joke, in case anyone didn't know.
It was pretty good.
Thank you.
I get it. I don't know what wicked is. It was
oh my god.
Crack of the bat, out of the park.
The last celebrity featured at the poker table, and somehow the only one who still has any sort of relevance, the star of Spider-Man 3, Topher Grace.
Nothing but respect for my Venom, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Also, I have one other thing to say. Gage accused me of being an Eric while we were watching the movie, and I was horrified. For those of you who don't know, I love that 70s show.
Who
My
doesn't?
two of my favorite shows have the number 7 in them. Not sure what that's all about. But anyway, I was
Seems
accused
satanic.
of being an Eric. I know 7's a good number. That's the Jesus number. I personally think that I am a hot Donna, but he says I'm an Eric, and I was mad at him because he's an Eric. But anyway, that was my thought process watching this scene, as well as remembering the first time I saw this, and yeah, just wanted to share the most exciting part of the movie for me.
I really love when actors show up as themselves in movies. I always think it's really funny. And I think it wasn't a particularly great show, but I think Entourage was a really good litmus test.
Are you... Dan, you planted this.
No, hold on. Give me a minute.
I love Entourage.
I hate it here. I'm leaving. This is a boys' club, and I'm not a boy.
Hear me out. Entourage is not a perfect show. But it's a good litmus test for telling whether or not a celebrity is, like, normal. Because if they were game to be, like, made fun of or seem fucking insane on the show, like Matt Damon did,
yeah,
then you can tell, like, oh, this guy's probably, like, pretty well adjusted. But if they insist on seeming cool and awesome, like Tom Brady or Mark Wahlberg, you're like, oh, like, yeah, that makes sense.
Let's take a second to remember that Sarah Silverman song that she did on the Jimmy Kimmel show, I'm fucking Matt Damon. It haunts me every day of my life.
I don't like Jimmy Kimmel, but I do love the little rivalry bit, just because Matt
yes.
Damon commits to it so well. And when they brought Affleck into it, it was hysterical. I love Ben Affleck.
Then you must be really enjoying this year.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for him. This is beautiful. He's back. Brendan Fraser's back. Dudes Rock 2021. We've been rolling since 2019.
Wait, what?
Dudes
Did you say
rock.
dudes? Oh,
Dudes
I
rock.
hate it. I'm leaving. There's too much testosterone.
Yeah.
I hate it here.
Jackass Forever's coming out in October. Everything is good again.
Oh my god.
If you guys do an episode on Jackass Forever, I would love to come on again.
I think I'm being placed in dude jail after this series.
I'm going to walk you there, Dan.
You know what that'll be? It'll be a walk to remember.
And we're back into the movie.
Cries for 20,000 years.
So Danny Ocean shows up at the poker game. He and Rusty, they share a sexy smolder with each other, and then...
Very sexy smolder.
And then they're back together. They're putting together a crew to take down 3 casinos. The Bellagio, the Mirage, and the MGM Grand.
And the Santa Maria.
Honestly, I have probably an easier time remembering the names of the 3 casinos they hit in this movie than the ships that came over with Columbus.
Oh my god. Gage was getting so annoyed with me because when they were in Vegas, every time they showed something, I was like, I've been there. And he was like, we get it. You went on one trip to Vegas once.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
I definitely fell asleep by the pool in the hot desert sun, and that did not stay in Vegas. I brought that burn home with me.
Dan, one thing I just love. I think by the end of the poker scene with Rusty and Danny, or maybe I want to say 11, 13 minutes into the movie, tops, and we've already met 3 of the crew. They're not like fully congealed, and it's not, you don't even know what like the plan is, but I think like it's hour 50. I think like, oh, you're a 15th into it and you're already like that far away. I was never a great economical screenwriter. I liked having a lot of texture. I like drawing things out. I like shaggy stories. This is just high and tight, all business movie making, and I fucking love it.
Yes. For some reason, your description of that is making me think of Boyhood.
I love
which
that
feels
movie
like
too.
the opposite of this.
Boyhood was painful.
Oh
Patricia killed it, my dudes. But...
Not in no words of praise for the star of that film, Ethan Hawke. Ugh.
None.
The
Never.
Oh my god, the scene where he gives his kid that custom Beatles album that he made for him, and the kid's just like, I don't know, I think I'll always just like Paul the best. And I wanted to fucking shake that kid. I'm like, he's doing something nice for you. He's trying to be a good dad, you fucking idiot.
That's very adult of you to say.
I was like 17 when I saw Boyhood, and I was just like, I'm so pissed. Why are you a terrible son? I love that movie. Oh, I love Linklater. I love Linklater and Soderbergh, and they have such different ethos, ways of making movies. That's the easiest way to say it.
So next up, it is time to put together a team after a conversation at Musso and Frank, a grill that I've been to.
Oh, I love that we're pointing out places we've been to. Let's keep this energy up.
I haven't been there, but I've seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood 10 times, and that's the opening scene.
That's close enough. I love that energy.
I love it. I'm gonna go there.
So they go to the house of Reilly's favorite person in film history, Elliot Gould, to discuss their plan with him. Elliot Gould is playing Ruben Tishkoff, who is a rich financier.
Just a man who loves delicacies and really ostentatious clothing and big glasses, nice cigars, and he was giving Elton vibes, Elton John vibes. Elton by the pool vibes, very big gut. And he's also playing it with, the Gould, Brooklyn. He's doing almost like a tough guy thing. And he really turns the tough guy angle of it down in the second and third in the trilogy. But he is out of the gate. Doesn't miss a fucking beat from the 70s. I went back and I saw stuff like MASH and The Long Goodbye, and just like all of his other, like Bob and Carol, Ted and Alice. Like, he is an incredible actor. And in this, like, I remember being so captivated by his performance. Just like when he's running through, it's like, this is a terrible plan. And I'm going to tell you exactly why it's not possible. And you're never going to get it done. And over that, I think like 2.5 minutes where he's going through all the attempted robberies of Vegas, all the shortcomings that they're going to have, the difficulty they're going to have in getting a crew, and how Terry Benedict is going to kill them. You can just hear him talking himself into doing it. It's like, no. You guys are crazy. I'm eating my salad. I don't want any part of this. But you can kind of see he's like, what else do I have going for me? He's just kind of, it's also very much like people compare, Redford and Robert Redford and Brad Pitt, and it's that kind of like old Hollywood, new Hollywood to, I guess, indie generation, or like whatever we have nowadays, whatever you call that, like that passing of the torch. And I feel like Gould's performance in this film was very much one of those like turn of the millennium, like we're handing it over to the young bucks now. And it was just a really beautiful kind of like, for Soderbergh to think of like, who would be good for like a Ruben Tishkoff type character? Like, I couldn't picture anyone except, maybe Dustin Hoffman, but it would be nowhere near as charming and nowhere near as like acidic.
It would be way more rat-like, because Dustin Hoffman is way more of a rat-like person.
Wait.
It'd be a bit more like he's double-crossing and sneaky, he's like pulling a fast one on people. Elliot Gould is just like, he's just a schmoozer. He's just like this really like, kind of breezy guy. And I don't know what it is about him. I just find him so compelling.
Anna, are you taking offense to my description of Dustin Hoffman as rat-like?
I like Dustin Hoffman. He doesn't give me rat vibes.
He gave Jim Henson rat vibes because I'm pretty sure they named that Muppet after him, his character in Midnight Cowboy. I could just be making that up, but Rizzo Ratso or whatever, I think was the same name.
Okay, that's kind of cute, though. I love that.
Who doesn't love the Muppets?
I would love.
And who doesn't love Midnight Cowboy?
Yup, that's the vibe.
So it's that it's time to put together the team, and it's time to meet the rest of the team. We've got the two Mormon brothers in Utah who like to race cars together. Scott Kahn and Casey Affleck as Turk and Virgil.
The Molloys.
We've got an electronics anxious man, Livingston Dell.
The sweat was relatable.
The most stressed out man in the world.
It's like me every day of my life.
Dan, who played Livingston Dell? Because he is the one of the crew, like one of the few of the crew that I don't really know much of their other work, I don't think.
His name is Eddie Jemison, and this was his first film role.
Really?
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, he played in 1996, he played Nameless Numberhead Man in Steven Soderbergh's Schizopolis. Was uncredited
cool.
in that. And then
That's sick.
He had acted in some TV stuff, and he acted in theater in Chicago.
Love that.
But after this,
City
he
by the
was
Bay.
in Bruce Almighty, The Informant, Veronica Mars movie, I, Zombie on the CW.
Whoa, I love iZombie.
Whoa, that's a new sentence.
Whoa.
Oh, no,
You don't like
that's so...
iZombie?
I've never seen it. The only thing I know
You
about it is when I
wouldn't
worked
like
at the
it.
library shelving the DVD. It was frequently checked out, which was a good sign.
I like it a lot.
We also see the uncredited Don Cheadle as Bash.
In a
So
special
dramatic.
guest appearance. Basher Tar.
He is attempting to rob a bank. His crewmates don't cut the silent alarm, or the, I guess, ringing alarm. So the cops come to them, but he gets rescued by Brad Pitt, and they commit literally an act of terror to
That's
escape.
right.
I mean,
They just blow up a cop car.
Yeah.
oh,
It
it was 2001. Times were different, right?
the times were in fact changing rapidly.
Yup.
Oh, the years start coming. And
They don't
And
stop
they-
coming.
Yep.
And then, they seem like they gotta get two more. So they get their grease man, the man who they can use to break into the vault. He is the quote the short Chinese guy, who's a circus acrobat, Yen. And then there is the grumpy old timer bank robber,
Dan O'Keefe.
I wish, Carl Reiner.
Oh, R.I.P. to a legend.
Yeah.
Just an absolute gem.
I mean, I love Carl Reiner.
Oh, me
Everything
too.
that he's done. If you've seen the unaired pilot for the Dick Van Dyke Show, when Carl Reiner was supposed to star in it, because he wrote it and he wrote it for himself. It wasn't
What?
called the Dick Van Dyke Show.
I was
He wrote
just
it
gonna
for
say,
himself.
that's a genuinely great joke out of the gate. We're like, all right, welcome to the Dick Van Dyke Show. I'm Carl Reiner.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Gary Shandling show, or
Yeah.
I think he did where he just there was another character that he just played. That was a good one.
So it was supposed to be called Head of the Family, and he's in the in the pilot they aired first, and they're like, it just doesn't work with him, and he so does not fit.
Interesting.
wonderful.
Oh,
He
And
feels
he
so
re-
out of place.
Oh, I mean, well, I guess it worked out. It's probably like watching Captain Pike in the first episode of Star Trek. You're like, okay, and then the next one you're like, oh, it's Star Trek. I get it.
Yeah.
Dan, have you seen The Russians Are Coming? The Russians Are Coming with Alan Arkin and Carl Reiner.
I haven't yet.
It's from 1966, directed by Norman Jewison, and
Perfect.
edited by one of my favorite directors, Hal Ashby.
Okay.
Very absurd Cold War comedy. Came out in I think the year or two after Strangelove, where Strangelove is like, oh yeah, like we're like on the edge of Armageddon. This was like, hey, this is kind of fucking dumb. Maybe we should end the Cold War. And then it ended, 20 years later. But it's a really, really good comedy, and it like shockingly has aged like pretty well. Alan Arkin, I think, speaks in Russian or some Eastern European language, like the duration of the film, and I think he is doing his lines, like their actual lines, but just no one knows what each other's saying, and it's a whole like comedy of communicating. It's pretty funny. It's old, so it might not land. Your mileage may vary, but I enjoyed it a bit. And if you're a Carl Reiner guy, I think you'd really dig it.
Mm-hmm. I will have to check that out. But so the gang is all put together, except for they're sitting at Musso and Frank chilling.
Mm-hmm.
George Clooney and Brad Pitt, and they're like, "You think we need one more?"
Yes.
You think we need one more? We need one more. And who is the one more, Anna?
Matt. Like, Matt Damon. Anyone?
Matt Damon. Oh,
I really do like Matt Damon. I really do.
I love him.
He's funny, and I think he's really talented. I haven't seen him in a ton of things just because, usually I feel like, in a lot of, like, films that are not aimed at my demographic. But when I do see him in movies, I really like him. Also, it doesn't hurt that while he's kind of plain looking, he's plain in a hot way. So,
his new movie Stillwater is very much like not like a I gotta get my daughter back like Taken action movie. It is just like a fish out of water sort of story. It's really character driven. It's a lot slower. There's a really nice romance in it. I was excited to see a movie in the theater this year.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like this is like about like people and like they have sex and no one's shooting lasers. And there's like probably minimal CGI that I can't notice because it's not a giant starfish monster.
Mm-hmm.
To be clear,
love that.
To be clear, I love the Suicide Squad.
I was gonna say, what are you getting at over there?
I
loved Suicide Squad.
I loved it. It made me like come to terms with like, yeah, like I am a comic book person, but I'm also very much a DC person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like burned out on the Marvel engine. I was like, all right, these movies aren't really going anywhere anymore, and I don't really care about a lot of these characters. But I do love the characters that DC has. They're a bit more shaky with how they do them in the movies.
Yeah, yes. I think they're learning.
The last 3 I've seen have been really good. Joker, Zack Snyder Justice League.
I'm
gonna disagree with you there, but we can't talk about it.
Joker, Snyder Justice League, and Suicide Squad. I'm like, oh, they get it. Like, they should be like the limited series or the one-shot graphic novels. Like, have a very distinct voice. Do your shit, get out. You have the whole toy box. Stop doing we're setting up the crossover that you got to watch the show on HBO Max for. I'm like, nope, just give me the characters. Mm-hmm. I don't care if they cross over. Give me a Blue Beetle movie. I don't need Wonder Woman in it. I need the Blue Beetle.
Dan, I just called you Gage, but I wanted to say, I think we found our guest for our 100th episode.
What's the 100th episode going to be? Is it going to be Joker? Let's go. I've been asked to be on multiple podcasts about Joker, and it's just never come up. Like, I never figured out the scheduling for it, because I'm one of the few people who is like ardently like a pretty earnest fan of Joker. I saw it 4 times in the theater.
Oh my god.
I don't know what it was about it.
So
I was
I'm
just
right there
like,
with you.
This fucking works for me. I'm digging this.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
So in case you don't know, our 100th episode is going to be Joker, because it is probably the movie that Anna and I have the furthest differing opinions on.
Correct.
Glad I'll be a neutral party.
Yeah, no, I feel like I need to find somebody on my side here. Yeah.
Fine, we'll find someone. We'll get you back up, Dan. Don't worry.
Well, who can we find who didn't like the Joker?
Yeah, let me throw a rock and hit somebody.
Well, speaking of characters that we all
someone
love,
finds crime funny. It's just so sick.
I think we might have lost Dan for a second.
Oh no, he had enough.
It said you've lost your network connection. Time to reconnect.
Dan's back. Did
I'm
you?
back.
You connected?
Joke's on you.
Speaking of characters that we all love, the
Yes.
Oceans,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yes.
11. They all converge at Ruben's house in Vegas to discuss the details of the plan. Basically, blah blah blah. There's a vault. There are rules they have to break in. Then whatever. I'm sure.
They
Follow the rules. I believe them.
They set up all
very
the
well.
stuff that they have to do.
Yeah.
They give you all the impossible tasks. They're like, we got to do this thing. We got to do this thing. It's the checklist. It's basically they're writing out a shot list. Like, we're going to do this. Then we got this. And we have to have this all done by this day or we're screwed.
Yeah. Otherwise, we're going to fail the project. And they plan to do it on the night of a big boxing match, which is 2 weeks away. And they set up camp in one of the Bellagio suites to canvass everything. Matt Damon's job is to watch Andy Garcia get his schedule every day. By the way, Andy Garcia's in this movie. He's Terry Benedict.
Mm-hmm. The big bad, the scary guy. I kind of like
the lazy eye.
You keep mentioning this lazy eye. I've seen him in a couple movies, and I've never noticed this. Am I just like completely face blind?
I don't know if he actually has a lazy eye, but in the last shot of him, where it's just his full face on screen, where he and Julia Roberts are doing like that stare off, and they're in the middle, he is cross-eyed, and I'm like, Andy, what's going on here?
Maybe he was doing that. He was affecting that to kind of show how overwhelmed he had become, because the whole movie, Terry Benedict, he's in control. He's on it. He knows everything going on in the casino. And then he just got fucking played. But
maybe he's keeping an eye out for Selena, you know?
Wait, was he in Selena?
No, that was a joke. Nobody seems to get this joke anymore. Anybody? Beauty and a Beat by Justin Bieber and Nicki Minaj. Nicki raps the lyric, buns out, wiener, but I gotta keep an eye out for Selena, because that's back when Justin Bieber was dating Selena Gomez. I've made that joke like 3 times this month, and apparently nobody else still remembers it except for me and my very specific TikTok feed. It's fine.
Well, to be fair, let's harken back to a few days ago when we were planning scheduling, and I very directly quoted Ruben Tishkov's monologue about said Dominic, your addresses. I have some remaindered furniture I'd like to send you, which is just a hysterical line on its own. And it fucking bombed in that group.
It's okay.
Everyone's just like, so 8:30 works, right? Just moving on.
It's all right. We made it. We're here. We made it. It's okay.
We're live. It's happening.
Yeah, Anna, your exact response to Reilly sending the quote word for word was, "What is going on?"
Yeah, I'm not good at that kind of stuff.
Oh, I love it.
It's gonna take more than 1-2 watches 5 years apart. I'm telling you.
Well, yeah, it's fair. I've had at least 7 watches of this movie, I think, between now and like 4 years ago. So.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I just put it on. It's like the sound of the ocean. It calms me down.
Ocean's 11. I'm so sorry.
Oh my God. I can't believe I never put that together. That wasn't me like being cute. I genuinely like, oh, wow. It is. That's exactly why they named it this.
Yep.
It's soothing.
They'll soothe one Reilly to sleep every night.
I was like 3 or 4 or something, and Steven Soderbergh was out there in Las Vegas shooting this movie. He's being like, guys, we can't fuck this up, because in a couple decades, some weird young man is gonna watch these movies, and he's got to fall in love with cinema again.
Amen.
I love that man, Soderbergh. They didn't give him any blood when he was born. They just pumped him full of that movie theater popcorn butter, and they sent him on his way. God damn it, he's killing it.
So the plan is that Carl Reiner will impersonate a Eastern European jewelry rich guy. I'm good with words. Arms dealer. He's an arms dealer.
That's right.
And they are to store some valuable jewels in the vault. Those jewels will be bombs, like the pies from SpongeBob, and they will blow their way into the vault.
Wait, I think you posted something about that, and I literally did not understand it, Dan. My life is in shambles.
Oh. I never put together that the jewels he brings down were the explosives that they use.
Yeah.
Right. Now I remember. I thought that they had brought those down later in the movie. Wow. I'm learning new things even as we're recording. And I literally just finished this movie like 15 minutes before I hopped on this Zoom. I was like, all right, I got to watch this before that. And I realized, I'm like, oh, shit, that's till like tonight. I got out of work and I was like, I got to go watch a movie.
Linus is then telling Brad Pitt about Andy Garcia's daily schedule, and he says, this is my favorite part. And then I think the only part of the movie that has aged poorly is, like, his favorite part of the day is when Julia Roberts shows up and he gets to watch her, because Julia Roberts is a beautiful woman. But
correct, she might be
tread lightly, Dan.
Okay, this is nothing against Julia Roberts, but when you say, like, this is the favorite part of my day, and it's, like, somebody appearing on screen, in my head, I think somebody who looks like Marilyn Monroe, or, like a classic, like, bombshell-looking person would show up. And, like, Julia Roberts, she's beautiful.
She's big.
But she's beautiful in, like, a
beautiful
regular sort of way.
Disagree.
I'm trying to think who my ideal would be if I was like, wow, this is the best part of my day. I don't know.
It would just be another Matt Damon, I guess, for you coming down the stairs.
It would probably be like every man I've ever said was hot walking past the camera at once. And then I'd be like, this is the best part of the day.
Well, I think, to be fair, like his days at that point were consisting of following Terry Benedict around to his, like, Japanese lessons and, like, scoping out pit bosses all day. And then at the end, he's like, oh, hey, Julia Roberts, all right. This is pretty cool. I mean, that would be the best part of my day, too. I hate studying. Unless, of course, I'm studying the beautiful Julia Roberts.
I like how you tried to save that, but there was no saving where you were going.
No, I think I nailed that. I wasn't trying to save it. I was like I was bringing that in for a landing. Oh, I looked right into the camera. No one listening to it was going to get that, but that was for you. That's for you guys.
There's a reason I'm shrouded in darkness now, so you can't see my face when you say things like that.
No more eye contact.
Lord.
Yeah, so then Rusty confronts Danny, saying, like, is the only reason you're doing this to get her back and to get revenge on Terry Benedict? And Danny's like, no, that's not it. That's not the reason. It's entirely
unless.
The reason. So Rusty is like, we got to take you off the job. You're threatening the security of everything. You can't be on it. That's just how it's got to work.
It's too personal.
First wrench thrown in the play.
I hate it when I'm watching a heist movie and they're laying out, like, we have such a difficult thing we have to do. It's going to be really hard to do this. And then it really just sets me off when they're trying to go along and then some other complication shows up. And I feel like it always happens in these movies. There's always one other thing that just has to go wrong. And it's just once, I'd like it to be like, all right, this is a really hard heist. And then it's like, all right, it was as difficult as we thought it was going to be. It was really hard to do this. There's no twists. There's no turns. It's just guys doing a very difficult... Wait, I'm describing the movie Thief. I just described Thief. Never mind. Moving on.
So we see Terry and Tess at dinner together, and they have an awkward relationship. They don't really get along. They don't vibe. The vibes are all off.
Oh,
the
yeah.
vibes are far from immaculate, Dan. Truly.
Mm-hmm.
They're very immaculate, honestly.
They're very, yeah.
And Danny pops up, and we see that, Tess and Danny, they're not together, but there's still a spark there's still a little bit of a flame there, baby.
There's a little
There's
something
chemistry.
going on, two beautiful people. That's all.
That's it. And Terry is, he doesn't really care. He's like, whatever. I don't notice that you're trying to take my money and my girlfriend. I'm too busy being a busy businessman.
She's just using him. Be honest. She's still into her separated mans. She loves the drum. She says she doesn't, but she def does.
I feel I like that Benedict is really kind of playing it as like, I always read that as not like obliviousness and just kind of like
I have absolutely nothing to fear.
Yeah, he's just like, you're like a small time crook. I own these casinos. I make all this money. I'm unsinkable. I'm Terry effing Benedict. Mm-hmm. And then, lo and behold, Achilles has a vulnerable heel.
You're really proud of that one, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I was scrambling. I thought a Greek mythology reference would make me sound smarter, and it just didn't. I sounded stupid.
It's would work better. You did your best.
It would work better if it was Brad Pitt as Terry Benedict, because then it would be Troy, and it would
I
all
gotta
cross
watch
over into each
Troy.
other. You don't.
I don't know. He's pretty cool looking in everything I've seen.
So a casino down the strip is destroyed through bombing, which messes up the plan again. Wrench number 2.
Oh my god!
They can't
it's like a goddamn
knock out the
Lowe's in
system. They can't knock out the electrical system, but they do have another thing they can do. They can set off a fucking EMP to knock off power in Las Vegas for a minute.
Mm-hmm. No repercussions from that. You see like kind of a riot scene in the casino floor, but you don't like see people like in the hospitals just like scrambling around being like, "Ow, fuck. Oh, geez, this isn't good."
Yeah. If they're only doing the strip, maybe it would be okay, but any like serious
They just black out the whole city.
Yeah, any
Stoplights go out.
Actual things. Oh god.
They actually take advantage of a riot going on. It's like Hotel Artemis, except really good.
Yeah, but to get the EMP, they have to break into the California Science Center, I say in quotes, which is just a building in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm. The warehouse, where the device is. That's the plot place.
Place where the plot happens.
It has guards.
The gang that goes in there of Bash, Danny, Brad Pitt, they do fine. They get it out just fine. But
I heard the word daddy and I got nervous.
Daddy Ocean. He's their father. All of the other people in the crew are Danny Ocean's children.
Yup.
It's like Mumford & Sons.
You're right. How could I have been so foolish?
It's subtext. They don't really explicitly state it, but you can kind of see it in some of the looks.
Can you?
Yeah, I think so. You got to watch it as many times as I have. You see what he's going for. It's all under the surface. Very intellectual filmmaking. Very, very nice.
Okay.
As you were saying, moving on. Please save me.
So they get the EMP out, fine, but they had left Matt Damon in the car while they were doing this because fuck Matt Damon is the main reason.
They left him in a car with Casey Affleck and Scott Kahn,
who are just flicking each other.
Yeah, they're like stop hitting
yourself. 2 halves of a whole idiot.
Oh god, those two together in this movie embody a spirit that I call brother magic. I think another podcast, I think the Chapo Trap House, they dubbed that after Uncut Gems. Just the idea of just 2 people in a movie Just like Mario and Luigi or the Safdie brothers, where it's just brother magic. It just clicks because there's two of them, and it's funny or it's cool for that reason. Mm-hmm. And the Malloys in the Ocean's movies, Casey Affleck and Scott Conn, are so fucking funny together. It's like a perfect comedy duo. They're bickering constantly, completely capturing that older brother, younger brother, or twins dynamic, which is, older brothers. And they're just so petty and sniping. And it's always like arguments about the watch, or even when they're faking an argument in front of people, like doing their whole like dressing up in costumes and like being a diversion, creating a bunch of noise, like it always feels like they're just continuing arguments that they've been having for years.
Yeah.
It's a really like naturalistic relationship, and it's so funny because Scott Conn and Casey Affleck look nothing alike. They don't look related at all. But as soon as you see that scene of them doing like the mini monster truck versus the actual monster truck race,
enjoy that.
That's a hysterical shot because you're like, oh, it's like a cool truck, and then you pull back and you're like, oh, this is even funnier because these guys are just children.
That scene is hilarious.
And like every time they cut back to it, when like they're getting the vans like for the whole job, the whole scene starts with just the two of them sitting in the back, just bouncing up and down on it, seeing how the shocks are. Like they're 10 years old, and it's just so God, it's awesome. They just crackle together. I love it.
Mm-hmm. So Matt Damon is getting chased out by security, and they have to go save him. But as they get him back in the truck, they crush Yen's hand in the door. What's that? That sounds like a wrench.
I gasped. I truly did.
How many wrenches are we at this point?
We're at three wrenches.
So many wrenches. It's 3 obstacles in every movie. That's a setup. You know that.
Every wrench that gets thrown in, you should throw the Tim the Toolman Taylor like just behind that.
I've never agreed with you more in my life.
It'll be be some extra editing, but I really think it'll be worth it.
I think it would be beyond worth it. I think it would have made this movie more enjoyable for me.
Now, Reilly, your first mistake is assuming that I will do any extra editing. I barely do any editing in the first place.
Oh God.
There
what
are
if
like
we
6
can
cuts
make the
total?
sound right now?
You get 6 cuts. It's like you're shooting on Super 8. It's just point and shoot. You can't go back. What's done is done. Move on.
Anna, do you want to make the sound?
I can't do it. Like I can't do it. Thank you. I don't know why.
Practicing that for years.
Thank you. Everyone, just try your best. I can always play it from my phone, so.
All right.
It's my text tone. Dan, that sounded so pained, and I'm mad at you. We are in a fight right now. We've been on this podcast for 2 whole hours, and you haven't even complimented me or told me it was a happy birthday. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, I have.
I know. I've been doing that to Gage all day. I woke up early to go to work today, and he was still asleep, and I rolled over and went, you haven't even wished me happy birthday yet. And he woke up, and he was annoyed. It was worth it, though.
So now it's the night of the heist, and everything is set in motion. They have Yen in the cart that they're pushing into the vault. Saul is going to go into the vault with him, but he's not allowed to because Terry Benedict straight up just doesn't trust him. What's that? Oh my gosh, I hear it whipping past me. It's wrench number 4.
Well, Dan, if you can dodge a wrench, you can rob a casino.
Oh my God. If you can dodge a car, you can dodge a ball.
Yes. I did it. I'm going to make you proud, Rip Torn. Proud.
So they lock George Clooney. He gets put into a separate interrogation room because he's not supposed to be on casino premises. He has been banned. And they also have Linus acting as a Nevada Gaming Commission agent, where they are trying to they're just basically creating diversions at this point. They are pulling Bernie Mac from the floor because he has been convicted of many crimes. To which Bernie Mac responds with a classic Bernie Mac scene.
The Bernie Mac scene, I always forget how it escalates and how it gets up to the line I always remember. And it's so
I know exactly what line you're going to say.
Because Matt Damon in that scene, he plays a couple undercover characters, and all of his aliases in these films are hysterical. The one in the first one's a bit weak, but the ones he uses in 12 and 13 are great. But he's just playing it like the informant, just like that kind of glasses, dorky Matt Damon character. And Bernie Mac he just pivots to the whole, like, you're like a convicted criminal, like you can't be like like one of our like dealers in our casino, and he just starts saying that Matt Damon's a racist. I think he calls him a cracker. And then it's just so perfect. And I'd never really seen a lot of Bernie Mac stuff outside of this movie when I had first seen it. Like, I'd seen some of his stand-up, and I thought it was hysterical. But the way that he can bring his own personality into his performance without it just being, oh, that's just Bernie Mac stand-up material that they're kind of forcing into the film. He's just a really natural part of the crew. And when he gets Matt Damon going in that scene, it's really fun seeing him. I love when actors are acting. Like, they're in character.
I'm sorry for laughing. It just made me laugh.
All right, hold on. You know what I mean? Like, when a character is doing a performance. Like, they are almost 2 levels deep trying to get that. And that whole scene is so good because Matt Damon's reactions to some of the things that Bernie Mac says are just like, I never in my whole life. He's just sputtering out. It's fantastic. It's, and every character gets a moment like that, or multiple at least, where they just really get to shine and have that kind of like, that's the scene where like people think like, oh, that character's great. Remember that bit? Remember that one? It's a really good balance between 11 guys and a crew.
So, and then everybody, they get into position. Saul pretends to have a heart attack to distract the people on the monitors. And then Bash, he cuts the power. He triggers the pinch, the EMP. You know how I said he committed an act of terror before? Mm-hmm. He really committed an act of terror now.
Oh, yeah.
That's a hanging offense.
That's like a citywide crime.
They set off the pinch. The power goes out. The fight, everything goes crazy. The casino, it turns into Mad Max out there. Everybody's fighting over the tables. They're just going after each other.
Do you
boxers...
think... No.
What?
If I was in Vegas and the power went out, I don't think it would actually be this crazy. Do you? Maybe like for the people who work there, but I feel like generally when the power goes out anywhere, there's a couple of dramatic people who scream, but then everybody else is like, now what?
Yeah.
Well, I think that
I don't know.
Just the dark and the amount of money on the table.
I guess I'm not really a gambler, so I guess I can't relate, but
I think I would be more disappointed that my Blake Shelton slot machine shut down in the middle of me
Not the Blake Shelton.
It kills the magic. It kills the entire rhythm of the machine at that point.
Yeah.
You're right.
People's sexiest slot machine alive.
Please never say that again.
The sexiest slot machine alive was my nickname in college. I believe you'll remember that, Dan.
Oh, Jesus. Absolutely not.
So they, Rusty calls Terry. Sorry, I also cut off the whole thing where they actually break into the vault. Matt Damon and George Clooney do when the power's out.
Okay, that part's kind of funny, too, when they're trying to... Oh, wait, I'm way far back. Oh, God, I'm not good at this. Okay, continue.
Oh, when they're doing, like, the rappel, they're almost doing, like, the Mission Impossible drop?
Yes.
That's a good one. They don't know if the ropes will even hold them at first, so they just like,
Anytime in this movie that Matt Damon and George Clooney are together, I feel like I enjoyed myself. Like when it's just the two of them.
I really like their dynamic. You get a lot more of Matt Damon.
I love the scene when the greaser guy, his hand is stuck.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get the explosives to work. That scene makes me laugh. And I just think that their chemistry is really good together, whereas some of the other actors are good actors, but I just don't buy into their chemistry as much.
That's fair. It is like that naturalistic, almost like older brother, younger brother, paternal kind of dynamic of like you want to impress like the top guy, the cool guy. Or even like the Sandlot of like you want to look cool in front of Benny the Jet because he's Benny the fucking Jet.
I mean, it's the same. Like you could say that about any scene in the movie. Like I think all the way back to the beginning, even like even though Linus keeps stealing stuff, like I feel like he's kind of flattered. Like when Danny finally is like, "Let's join in and do this together." So I don't know. I just really love them together, and like you said with Casey Affleck and whose name I forgot. Thank you, Scott Conn. Like they give me brothers almost more than the actual characters playing brothers do.
Interesting. That's fair. I think wait, Dan, can I just roll a little bit back to when Carl Reiner fakes that heart attack and they bring in again in a completely different costume, the twins as paramedics and also Brad Pitt in really funny fake glasses. And I don't know if this was deliberate or intentional, but I always kind of read Brad Pitt's like really over the top, like pulling the glasses off, like we lost him kind of performance as not a shot, but like kind of like a playful dig at Clooney and ER. Like the whole, I really kind of always got that vibe because it was just like, I always thought like the whole glasses off bit and then just like rubbing his mouth like his shirt. And I'm just like, I never really saw a lot of ER, so I'm probably just assuming that because it's a doctor and Clooney played a doctor. But I want to believe.
Wait, so are you saying that ER is your X-Files?
ER X-Files. There's a lot of letters and it doesn't really work, but yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Dude, I love the Erks Files.
Not the Erks Files, please.
Hey, do you guys want to come over this weekend and watch the Erks Files on Ferks?
Oh, God. I don't have the strength.
I love David Duchovny. I'm going to be laughing about David Duchovny on the Erks Files all weekend.
What about Jurley Anderson?
Dan, I'm just gonna tell you right now, your eyes keep reflecting a little bit. It's like I'm watching night vision camera footage. It's a little creepy. I'm like a ghost, but it's just Dan.
What if it was just the whole black background, and then at one point Dan's eyes open and they're really bright white?
I would leave. Dan, no.
Like someone in a
Dan,
cartoon.
No. Oh my God, no.
He's, I think, frozen on my end, so I don't really see anything he's doing.
Oh, he was being spooky, I'll tell you that much.
I'm sorry, those of you listening, you can't see this, but I don't have any lights turned on in my room because the sun set while we were recording, and the light is too far away for me to turn on, so I am shrouded in darkness and lit exclusively by the light of my laptop. And Anna came into the room right now to turn on the light.
God bless her. She's doing the Lord's work. Love that energy from Anna.
It's going to get bright on my screen at one point, and then I'm just going to see Dan just go because the lights are back on him. But for now, he's just still a black square on my laptop.
The light is on, I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, so then Rusty calls Terry on a cell phone that Danny had planted on Tess. And he tells him he's being robbed. Terry goes to the security center, figure out what's going on. You know, they can't
I will
see
say this
anything.
part's cool.
Yeah.
This is cool. Okay.
This is where they basically they show what happened. So they have all this video of them taking the money out of the bank vault in black duffel bags marked with X's. They say that they split the money into two parts. One of it is all lined with explosives, and Terry needs to get the rest of it out for them. And they say that they're going to blow up all the money. So then Terry calls 911 to get a SWAT team. And he's like, fine, you could do it. Whatever. I'll get all the money back anyway. That's my Andy Garcia impression, by the way.
Wow, you could have been
So good.
Godfather 4.
Honestly, I could have closed my eyes and it would have been like he was here.
It's me, Andy Garcia. Look with your eye and a half.
Wow.
Come on, man.
So good.
I really dug.
you.
Every time I watch it, I always forget the whole like split the money thing that they try and pull on Benedict, where it's like, all right, either you lose. I love the line. Either you lose $80 million privately, or you lose $160 million publicly. And I think that's a really cool kind of like dead man switch angle to that whole heist thing.
Yeah.
And the best part is going on.
So Terry goes down into the vault with the SWAT team to assess the damages, and then he yells for the SWAT team to leave the premises, and he tells his men to take the money out of the vault. And he gets news that they caught the van. They shot all the tires out. But the van, it wasn't filled with money, just ads for prostitutes.
Classic for Vegas. Truly classic for Vegas.
Gonna be a lot of them there. So.
And then we see in a flashback that the men who were loading up the duffel bags in the vault was shot in the team's replica vault, which doesn't have the Bellagio logo on the floor. And Terry basically walked the team in to carry the money out, and they walk out with the money easy as pie.
Right under his nose.
Classic.
The whole replica vault thing is really good because it's such a strange thing. Like, because they even mention it like early on in the planning. It's like, we got to get these vans. We got to get this. We got to make a replica of the vault. And you hear Rusty in voiceover go, oh, for practice? And then Danny, again off screen, perfect editing choice to not show them saying this, just goes, something like that. And then that's the last we ever really hear of it.
Yeah.
Maybe we
I
cut
feel like
back once for the test where the Amazing Yen does the flip,
yeah.
which is sick. I think they show that maybe one time. You're like, oh, I guess that's why they made it to practice. And then all comes back around. It's almost like a Brian De Palma movie. There's a lot of that kind of like, what's real, what's not, are you looking closely? Or like F for fake, like that kind of like, ooh, not everything you see on screen is exactly what's going on, which I fucking love when movies like play little tricks on you. It's fun. It's fun. It's like magic.
Like Now You See Me Too.
Other great heist films. The Ocean's films. The Now You See Me movies.
Please, it's a duology, please.
Duology.
Give it the
Duology is such
respect
a
it deserves.
funky word. Like, just say, like, pair. Couplet.
So, Tess, she's in her room watching TV, and she gets a call to turn to a specific channel. On the channel is the room where Terry and Danny are having a conversation. Danny asks Terry, would you be willing to give up Tess to have all your money back? And without hesitating, Terry says yes.
Cold-blooded.
Immediately.
Shady. Trash. Throw him out.
He's done, sis. Give him up.
And that's what she does. Julia Roberts runs out as Danny Ocean is getting arrested for, he's getting arrested for violating
his parole, being
Yeah.
at a casino outside state lines.
Yeah. And then she
I
runs
believe
out.
Jersey.
They kiss.
Yeah.
And their love hath been rekindled.
Love that.
And then the gang, they go and watch the fountains at the Bellagio, and it's beautiful, and I have tears in my eyes.
Beautiful
I've been
Claire
there.
de Lune
I've seen
sequence.
that.
God, just incredible film.
We made it.
Not yet. Almost.
Oh, fuck.
We're only a third of the way through this beautiful 3-part.
Stop.
We haven't even finished the movie yet.
Oh
3 to
my-
6 months later,
Oh,
Danny gets
yes.
released from prison.
I always forget this bit because I love the fountain sequence. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It is
And
a
it's
good
got that-
ending for this movie.
It's got that perfect like fountain shot there, like they've all walked away and the music ends, and then if I was, a movie producer, that's one of those things where like you go full like Casablanca 40s, like you throw that the end title
Yes.
card up there. You make that move. But they just, gotta have that one more tag.
Stevie Sodi, he don't act like that.
No. He don't play that.
Danny
Steven Soderbergh.
gets
is-
released from prison. And Rusty comes to pick him up, says, I have all your personal effects. Who's in the back seat? Tess. They drive off into the sunset, being followed by Terry Benedict's men. And that's Ocean's 11.
We made it. For real this time.
Oh my gosh. I mean, Anna, since you're the one with the differing opinion of the three of us, and I understand why you have the opinion, but just in your general thoughts after the movie.
There are parts that I really enjoy, like I told you, but it's just not. It's not one I gravitate to. There's nothing for me to connect with. Like, I don't know. And I feel silly saying that because, like, I like to watch horror movies. What am I going to connect with there? The demon? Like, but you know what I mean? Like, I guess this one's just kind of hard for me. It just doesn't have anything that pulls me personally in. Like, I do appreciate, like, it is a tight movie. It feels like it moves fast, but at the same time, it feels like we're going nowhere very fast.
Okay.
There's a lot happening, but time isn't really passing. And that kind of bugs me.
Well, that's an interesting way of phrasing that because I know you said you're not much of a gambler, but like Danny Ocean says, casinos are like labyrinths. They're meant to keep you in there. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of light. There's a lot of color. It's moving quick. There's a lot going on. There's no windows. You have no idea how much time is passing.
Exactly. That's what this movie felt for me, except it's like when you're on a losing slot machine.
Your mileage may vary based on Lady Luck.
Yeah, she was now with Luck Be a Lady Tonight. Anyone?
Oh
she's
yeah.
not there.
Oh yeah, I know. Snake Eyes.
Yes.
Snake Eyes. Oh no. I'm ruined. What a movie.
So I'm gonna save your thoughts, Reilly, for last because you definitely have the most.
I've been sharing my
and
thoughts
the
almost
strongest,
all podcast.
but
I'd
I'm sure
like
you
to
got
just
more.
Finalize quick and apologize to our guest that I'm such a curmudgeon about his favorite movie. I always feel so bad when I don't like the movie that the guest picks. I'm like, oh, I'm roasting him.
No, you're not. You're not roasting me. And again, like it just wasn't anything there that you really could gravitate towards. I've had movies like that where I've watched it and I've just been like, even if the filmmaking was good, where I'm just like, it's not that I like need like someone to root for even. It's just like, I just need something where I can like get in on. And I think a big thing for me with movies, like I love big ensemble casts.
Okay.
Like I love I do love Steven Soderbergh movies. He does these a lot. But I love like Robert Altman and stuff where it's just like, or Paul Thomas Anderson, where he just throws great talent at you. Tarantino does it where it's just like every actor you're getting, even in like the tiny little bit parts, is just like a really interesting little performance and little memorable lines. Like just like the phrase that Casey Affleck has after his fake fight with Scott Conn on the casino floor where he's doing his balloon delivery. Just him saying, "I'm just trying to deliver my balloons." And then the slow smirk that Scott Conn gets on his face, and he kind of like doubles over and he does his classic, like that Conn snickering kind of hyena laugh. And he just goes, "Balloon boy, balloon boy." I just love those little quirks and those little moments from, like, albeit not, huge stars like Scott Conn, but like the
Pardon
stars.
you. That's the star of the final 2 seasons of Entourage, Scott Conn.
Yeah,
Entourage again.
Scott Conn is hysterical in Entourage. He is one of the highlights of that show. Oh God! But I love just like having a lot of movie stars I really like doing fun movie star shit, and although this has been levied as a criticism of a lot of contemporary movies, but I think in a different way, this felt very much like an amusement park ride. I got on, and it showed me a lot of awesome stuff. It was moving quick, and I have a lot of fun memories of it, and I love doing it over and over again, even until I'm sick of it. I'll do it again and again. I think I can't get tired of it. Whereas a lot of more, like amusement park filmmaking we get nowadays is just spectacle. There's not a lot of like really fine-tuned camera motion. The editing isn't as, I think, well thought out as what we see in this trilogy. And I even think that like the Ocean's movies, I think they kind of peter out. I think that Ocean's 13 is the weakest of the trilogy. But I think Ocean's 12 is the best. I think they build on each other, and it's a fun little cohesive world. But like, I get that it's not for everyone, because it's like, the Rick and Morty episode all about heists. Like, a lot of it is like, and I was talking about
episode.
It's funny, and I always thought
it is funny.
A lot of that, the heist episode, you could apply to like superhero films now, where it's like a lot of a rigid formula where it's like, oh, they're going to double cross us. Or like, oh, it was this guy all along. But, and I get like the heist, like I even said it earlier, it's like, I hate when there's like a wrench thrown into it. You always know there's going to be some curveball. And almost all of the time, the people who are stealing the money end up either getting away with the money or some of it. Or they die, which is a different kind of movie. But, I don't know what it is about them. It's just some kind of ineffable movie magic for me. And it is like personal. I have a really nice connection to the film. I had a great time watching it with my friends the first time I saw it. And it's just breezy. It's easy. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't want to say McDonald's because there's a lot more care. It's like eating pizza, Like it's a treat, I probably shouldn't have it every week, but invariably, I'm gonna have a slice. Even if I watch the first 15 minutes of Oceans, just a little slice. I get to Elliot Gould by the pool, and then I'm like, all right, I saw Ruben, I saw my friend, I'm done.
Gotta touch base with your pals.
Oh God. MVP, if I had to rank the all 11 in the crew, I won't because it's going to take too long. But number 1, with a bullet, write it down in permanent marker, Ruben Tishkoff. Like line for line, scene for scene, I think he is my favorite in the entire series. I love him.
You hit basically every point that I would have said. It's just like the vibes. To be a Zoomer, the vibes are immaculate, and these are 11 people, 8 people I'd want to hang out with.
It's a vibes movie.
Yeah,
it's like a hangout film. Even more so, actually, not even more so. The old one.
The old one is like a hangout film.
That's a hangout film, but it's a hangout film made by just like a bunch of middle-aged drunks.
Yes.
This is like fucking actors.
Sexy middle-aged drunks.
Sexy guys like Carl Reiner, Bernie Mac.
The guy who plays Linus.
James Caan, kid.
Please address him by his correct name, Dan.
I was thinking the guy who plays Livingston, not Matt Damon.
Oh, I would say Linus is Matt Damon.
So some trivia about the movie. So the this is surprisingly for how long we've been recording. This is the first time that I'm mentioning that Rusty is eating in basically every scene of the movie. And that wasn't written in the script. That was just something that Brad Pitt would do.
I love it.
On breaks. So Steven Soderbergh let him eat on camera. In the scene where they're spying on Tess by the staircase, Brad Pitt ate 40 shrimp.
Oh, that's really a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that character detail. Just like from the go, he's just snacking on stuff. Rusty, I think, kind of went under the radar, that whole discussion of the film, as like a really solid character performance from Brad, because he's like the cool, suave, sexy guy. But at the same time, like he is like another sort of like almost like an operator mindset for that character Brad had played at that point. He's a lot more aware of like what he's doing. He seems a lot more confident, because up until that point, like in stuff like Spy Game, like he was like the young buck, like he was or like Legends of the Fall, like he's like the rowdy young guy. In this, like he seems a lot more assured. He seems to like it's like one of his first like performances as like a real like man type character, which I really dug. And I don't remember. I mean, I'm not a good poker player, but that scene at the start, where he's like talking with all the teeny boppers, and then eventually Danny about like how to play poker, and then Danny and Rusty take them all for a ride and just take their money. I don't know anything about poker. And I'm certain everyone who was playing like had really obvious tells and like were really bad players beyond just what was getting called out. And I would love to watch it with like a poker pro and see them break down like shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. But the two of them, like Brad Pitt and Clooney, like I've never been able to understand the rules of almost any card game except like blackjack. But watching them in that scene, that's a really good thing. Like in Rounders, which is not as good a movie as this, but Rounders does this really well, where you're watching people play poker, and even if you have no idea what's going on, it's engaging. I think that's down to editing and performance. Same thing with like Queen's Gambit. I don't know shit about chess, but God, did I love watching that show, because I just thought it was very well done in how it handled that sort of complex gaming in a like live action film setting. I thought it's just God, so good.
So Steven Soderbergh originally wanted to make the movie in black and white, but the studio said they'd cut the budget if he did, so they didn't let him do that.
Fucking idiots at the studio. That would have been so cool.
Luke and Owen Wilson were considered for Virgil and Turk. Danny Glover was going to be Frank, and Bill Murray was supposed to cameo as a lounge singer, but they were all busy making the Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh!
Whoa! The Coen brothers were considered to play Virgil and Turk.
Oh my!
They hate giving like interviews. Why do you think they would want to be like characters?
The original ending for Ocean's 11 was Tess rejecting Danny after the heist.
Love that.
Interesting.
Yeah. They switched it to have a happier ending.
I would have been very into the rejection, though. I would have loved to see that. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
That would have set up a real interesting dynamic for the rest. Or it also would have been
a really fun twist.
Could have been an easy way to write out Julia Roberts if you didn't want to get her back, which I don't know why you would want to. She's so good with Soderbergh.
And then in the first scene where we see Rusty and he's in the parking lot eating food, leaning on a railing, he's actually facing a mural of Frank Sinatra, but they wanted to distance the movie from the 60s one, so they cut it out.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting that that they wanted to distance it from the original one, because I was like, they could have had a surviving cast member just show up with like a cameo or something, which is what they do with all reboot movies now. But basically the whole Rat Pack was dead except for Joey Bishop.
Oh boy.
What you could have had Joey Bishop as the guy who recognizes Saul when he's in character as Lyman Zerga. That would have been a cool little like throwback, because Reiner was somewhat of that generation. He was younger then, but like that would have been a cool
he was
thing.
basically of that generation because he died this year at 98 or something.
God.
Oh my goodness, God bless him.
Yeah.
Legend. You could have gotten Billy Crystal to do his Sammy Davis Jr. character, and then had him in character as Sammy Davis Jr. as a character. I'm certain that would have played well.
Yeah, that
in
would have gone very
2001.
That
well.
sounds like it would have aged super well.
You know what? It would have aged well from 2001, just as well as it did from like 2011 when he did that again. I think at the Oscars. Everyone was just like, "What? Oh, he's still doing it." Okay, it's
Sorry.
not okay, but okay, go ahead.
So that is all the trivia I have. Reilly, who is your favorite actor?
I don't know. I just think it's such a cliche. I mean, he's like my Twitter profile picture, and he's the star of like a bunch of my favorite movies. Elliot Gould, I think, is just... He's one of... I mean, they put it on the cover of Time magazine. He was like a hip, modern star for a very uptight age. And that was before he had done like a bulk of his like really memorable work even. Mm-hmm. He broke out. He was a Broadway guy. He dated Barbra Streisand for a while.
Love that.
And then he really broke out in Bob and Carol, Ted and Alice, which is a great late 60s comedy and a really definitive sea change moment for like how adult comedies were oriented in Hollywood. The things you could talk about, the things you could show, and things you could like make movies about. And then he follows that up almost immediately with MASH, the MASH movie with Donald Sutherland and Robert Altman and Tom Skerritt. And his performance in that, I think, was like the next thing I saw of his afterwards. Like I was reading about the new Hollywood, like the American New Wave, that whole like late 60s, 70s filmmaking movement. And I remember seeing like, oh, like MASH was a really big one. It was the first American film to say fuck. And the like New York Times hated it because it made fun of religion. It was really controversial. And it led into like a 11 season TV show with Alan Alda, which is so funny to like go back and watch the movie because it is absurdly over the line compared to the show. But Gould in that is just electric. After that, he does The Long Goodbye, which is, if you like Inherent Vice or any of like the Humphrey Bogart, Sam Spade type of film noirs, Long Goodbye, I think, is like one of the best films ever made. 1973, him and Altman, I think John Huston, or no, someone else, another really famous old guy, maybe Alan Ladd or something, as like the Ernest Hemingway, Orson Welles type. And it's just this great shaggy dog mystery. You kind of know who the suspects are, but you're just kind of drifting around, ambling aimlessly with Elliot Gould as this man out of time. He's like a 50s detective in the free love 70s, and he just sticks out like a sore thumb. He looks like shit. He's constantly getting beat up. It's just a masterpiece. And at the end, like, he just has this moment where he just kind of snaps. Not like fully goes berserk, but there's just like something that changes in his character where he just crosses a certain line. And it's so memorable. It's one of my favorite movie moments. And he's just, you know, he kind of like a lot of stars of his time, like as the 70s wore on and the Renaissance boom kind of wore out, he, you know, had to take, you know, more money jobs that were less as inspired. But he still kept, like, he pops up in like Bugsy, the Warren Beatty, Annette Bening movie, and a great performance in the 90s. Any fans of Friends would recognize him as Ross's dad, just like the kind of like bumbling guy. And then he like pops off again in the Ocean's trilogy. He's just like a really unsung MVP of them, just peppering in a really delightful level of comedy that I just think is very uniquely him. but also speaks to that generation of stars like him or Ryan O'Neal or Warren Beatty, who are just charismatic and light on their feet in a way that didn't really last as much as like Jack Nicholson or Robert Redford did. Like they were a more fleeting, hip kind of, like George Segal as well. Mm-hmm. And any fans of the Ocean's movies who like Ruben Tishkoff, who haven't seen California Split by Robert Altman, starring Elliot Gould and George Segal, it's from 1974, and it's just about these two degenerate gamblers who find each other and go on an unprecedented hot streak. Mm-hmm. They keep winning. They have ups and downs like all gamblers do, but it's just about that chase, the kind of addiction to it, whereas not as much like the side effects or the consequences, but what that does to a person and how it changes how they think. Very loosely, not remade, but very similar to the recent Ryan Reynolds movie Mississippi Grind with Ben Mendelsohn. Mm-hmm. Both of those really good. Would be a solid double feature, kind of pairing off a Casino Night here.
So that is the most in-depth answer that we've gotten of who is your favorite actor. The reason I ask is because how we normally do is I ask, would this movie be better, worse, or the same with insert your famous actor as insert one role. So I guess my question for you, Reilly, is would this movie be better, worse, or the same with Elliot Gould as Ruben Tishkoff?
I think that this movie is special to me, and the love that I have for this series is really linked to finding Gould's performance and then finding all these other stars. Like this also was like the same year I saw Ad Astra and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I was like, oh, Brad Pitt's like back, even though he had been doing really consistent work since the fucking Ocean's movies and before.
Since the 90s.
Yeah, since like he started. But I remember like it's just like it's because of the cast and it's because of this. I guess an alternate answer to satisfy it would be like if Gould was the star, if he was Danny Ocean and they made this in the 70s, kind of building as like almost like a turnaround remake of the 60s one. I think it maybe could have been pretty cool if they did like a different take on it. You'd have to have the right director, otherwise it would probably fall flat, just like the first one. But you had a crop of talent back then, especially with the old Hollywood guys still kind of puttering around before they started dying off. That could have been cool. Having like a Jimmy Stewart in the Carl Reiner role would be kind of tight. But I don't want to sit here and then just like cast a hypothetical 1976 Ocean's movie, because I will. and it's already pretty late.
Anna, would this movie be better, worse, or the same with Jonathan Taylor Thomas as Linus?
Hello, it's me. I'm just gonna keep Matt Damon. You know, he's good in this. I'm sorry, this isn't as very in depth. Riley's really
exploration
killed it.
of Elliot Gould's entire career.
I wish I could do the same, but I'm gonna just leave it at no. I'm sorry.
And then would this movie be better, worse, or the same with the bones of Jimmy Stewart?
The reanimated corpse.
In Carl Reiner's role as Saul Bloom. It'd be worse. There is... I think with Saul Bloom, there is an intrinsic old Jewish man to the character that Jimmy Stewart has old racist man vibes, honestly.
Yeah, he doesn't serve old Jewish man vibes.
I feel like any scene, like there's those scenes like, you know, like Carl Reiner's character is like kind of on the way out of the game. He's got an ulcer now. There's like little moments where it seems like they're setting it up like he can't do this. Like he's a little too old. He's past his prime. And I feel like those moments were like, I think at one point Danny straight up asked him like, or Saul, you think you're up for this? And then his response is fucking awesome. He's just like, Daniel, if you ask me that question again, you won't live to see the morning. Which is like, I feel like Stewart couldn't have had that sort of edge to the character, even though it's like this sweet old Carl Reiner grandpa guy. Like when he says that, part of me is just like, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, he just got a problem. He's been around the block. If Stewart said that, he'd just be like, all right, whatever, grandpa. I wouldn't have the faith that I had in the Saul character. I'd have been like, oh no, Jimmy Stewart's gonna fuck this all up.
Can you imagine? Oh my god.
And then
I blew it for the gang.
that's it. I haven't heard a better Jimmy Stewart impression than that one.
It's not going to come from either of us. I'm just saying, Dan.
I'm not doing much more of it on record.
What?
Those are Terry Benedict's casinos, see?
Why would you want to rob Terry Benedict? You know him. He's a bad man. Wow. This is Fowl from Jimmy
I
Neutron.
know.
Yeah.
Don't even say that. Gage calls me Mrs. Fowl all the time. I hate it here.
2 more weeks. 2 more weeks.
And then, lastly, on a scale of 1 to 5 Don Cheadle's accent in the movie,
No.
what do you give it, Reilly?
Again and again, it's a 5-star, 5-bagger, 5 Don Cheadle's movie for me. Just a perfect picture.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it a lot.
Anna, what about
Makes
you?
me happy.
I'm sorry, Reilly. It's a 2 from me, dog.
Ooh, that's harsh.
Yeah.
But I understand.
That's below a 50.
I like some parts of it. That's why it's not lower.
Yeah.
But
hate
it's a no from me, dog. It's not my favorite. There's definitely movies I dislike more, but it didn't thrive, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't thriving.
2 stars. Not bad. Not great.
And then I'm with you, Reilly. I give it 5 out of 5. It's so
Whoa,
fun.
y'all crazy.
I think it's the most rewatchable movie I've ever seen. Like, I could watch it any day and be totally... And that's like... I think Quiz Show is the most rewatchable movie. I'm the only one who thinks that. And this is more rewatchable than Quiz Show.
I gotta say, I've never rewatched Quiz Show, but
Me either, Dan. Just the one time with you.
Quiz Show is tight. That's a good movie.
This, Quiz Show, and My Cousin Vinny. The 3 most rewatchable movies in the world.
I watched My Cousin Vinny for the first time, I think, like, earlier this year. It must have been, like, right after Christmas or something. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. I was in tears.
I've never seen it.
Oh, it's so fun. It's delightful. It really is. Because you think, like, oh, you probably know all the good bits just from, like, it getting referenced over and over and stuff in pop culture. Couldn't be further from the truth. It's got tons of layers. Like, I saw Die Hard for the first time around Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it wasn't around Christmas. Maybe it was after that, and maybe I'm just associating it in my head. But I remember being like, oh, I knew, like, almost all of this movie because of just cultural assimilation, just kind of getting bits of it. But it's completely not the case there.
Yeah. Well, Reilly, thank you for being with us this week.
I am happy to be here and excited to return.
If you like In Conclusion, you can support us by following us on social media, on Facebook and Twitter at And In Conclusion, on Instagram at In Conclusion Podcast. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/InConclusion, where you can give us money in exchange
Give us some money
for goods and services. Best way to support us is by spreading the word and telling your friends, getting them to listen. More listeners equals more fun, and more people to give us money. If you want to find me on the internet, you can find me on Twitter at DanO'Keefe86 or on my blog, dan-o'keefe.com/blog. Reilly, it's your time. Where can they find you?
If you liked what I had to say, or if you just think, hey, I really want to know what that insane person is thinking about every other hour of the day, you can follow me on Twitter at GoodPostReilly. GoodPostReilly.
We love
All
a
one
spelled
word.
out Instagram or Twitter. Oh my god, it's too late for me.
It's my Twitter handle. I post about mostly movies. Also a lot of the time about the Beatles. And also my lunch. Just kind of the various thoughts I have through the day. It's not a particularly professional space. It's mostly just like a public diary. Almost like a log of me losing my mind on the internet in real time. Join us, won't you?
Love that.
And Anna, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at OptimusPrime818, or you can find me on Twitter at AutobotsRollOut. Capital O for Auto, capital B for Bots, capital R for Roll, and the O in Roll and the O in Out are... What are they, Dan?
They are 0.
They are zeros!
We will be back next week, continuing our 3-week prolonged torture of Anna with the second film.
I'll put on a smiley face, okay? I will be here cheering everyone on in a good mood.
The thing is, Ocean's 12, controversial. This is a teaser for next week.
A hot take.
Is my favorite of the trilogy.
Ooh,
and in my
love
opinion,
it.
possibly Soderbergh's second best film.
Okay.
And his best is not an Ocean's film. It's Che, I think. That's an awesome movie.
So tune in next week for Ocean's 12. Before I say my normal close, happy birthday, Anna. I'll say it again.
Happy birthday!
Oh, thank you. It's me, a Leo Queen. Thank you, Dan.
Crowd's going fucking nuts.
They better be. Yes, bitch. Yes.
Let's fucking go.
So, we will be back next week with Ocean's 12. In the meantime, everybody stay safe, have fun, and get vaccinated. Bye-bye.
Yay!
Oh, this one trash.